I told you we'd be back. Maybe you guys didn't believe me, but I told you we would be back. And this time, maybe yet again, we have big updates. For one, there is a podcast dashboard. That is true, and it is publicly facing. Um, I might have said before we are going to stay on track a little bit more this time. So we're starting off with SpaceX because biggest IPO ever, plus some open AI with that, and we'll get to a little more in open source and things later. But Luke the Duke Show, episode 8. I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. Right now we're planning to. I mean, this should be finalized, but every other week, every other day, weekly, something like that's got to happen. Because we're going to keep you guys up to date on my new product, business, whatever that we're working on. So, let's just get into it. First topic, SpaceX IPO. They are aiming for a June, filed April 1st, so June target. Now they're aiming to raise $75 billion. So if the company is worth $100, I guess $1 trillion they're selling off. 750. You know what I mean? So maybe a small amount in comparison, because just 75 billion, even 0.75 is 750 billion. So, I mean, that's a lot of equity. XAI merger, that's already in there, combined at filing, which added quite a lot. And first two comparisons to OpenAI. Colossus in Nashville, it's either one GPU cluster or it's spread across 3 buildings and they count it. It's up to 550,000 GPUs. Largest cluster in the world. Meta's new super data center. This is crazy if you pay attention to stuff. Meta's new one is 155,000, something like that. And that's what Meta's building. I feel like Meta is slept on because they have open source models. They just released their first proprietary model. But they got the spend, they got the team, they are behind. Because the Llama models are Meta. Those are totally fine. They're nowhere near frontier, but like totally fine. They say the new one's pretty good. We'll see. Also, for the record, you can see on our tabs over here, we have the 3D printing. You might be able to hear, I just got a 3D printer, and it is running right now. And finally got halfway. It's going to be under my desk laptop slide in that you bolt up and slip your laptop in and plug in. Which actually be nice. I work mine sits fine. I won't show you my setup here. I do just lean against the desk leg, my MacBook Pro. Is this the first podcast with a MacBook Pro? I think it's the second, because I got it in December. M1 Max, 32 gigs. It's actually been great. I actually do really quite like that. And my AirPods, which I'm not using, because I have a new mic. I don't think I had this mic last time, but now you can really hear me. Anyways, I have a GPU in there. So, back to this. Meta released their model. They're like a third of the Colossus cluster. Grok hasn't really released in a while. Rumor is they're working on an agentic flow, like an OpenClaw, like an agent thing, like the Cowork. I guess Cowork's the desktop app, but you know what I mean, whatever they call that. Really, they're working on that. I remember Grok super heavy. I always had really wanted to use that. I should add alt tab for this too, the perplexity stuff, because as you can see, we're already off topic. SpaceX is going to launch AI satellites into space. Here's what's weird about that, and I thought was a gotcha for a moment. The satellites have to have huge radiators, so they expand out their solar panels with radiators for the heat from the cluster. Right now, already solar panels for the Starlink satellites, but now also radiators to let the heat go. You're like, oh, that makes sense. You put radiators, it's super cold, so it works fine. No, not true at all. The physics are crazy, I think, because you think it's so cold, the heat, there'd be no heat. It'd be totally fine. You think it's super efficient because it's cold in space. That is not true. There's things you learn in a podcast, that shadows, without bumping the mic. There are no particles in the vacuum of space to take the heat from the radiators and move them away. So the heat sits. Now, it has to happen in some way. I don't know what way, because they're in low Earth orbit, technically. They can cool in space, of course, because it is cold in space. But you, the amount of radiator you need is vastly larger than when you're on Earth. You have something super hot and it dissipates through the air, through the ground if it's touching, stuff like that. Crazy. So they have to have super big radiators on them. They're up to 5 million people paying for these Starlink satellites. XAI's merged now will have AI compute in space. The Department of Energy, I believe, and possibly Space Force did just announce that they're planning on getting orbiting nuclear reactors. I have legitimately no idea what that does, but we'll come back to that. So the XAI satellites in space, Grok in space, he wants to launch equivalent of total compute and possibly power on Earth into space. I believe I'm off on the power, but I am on compute and in the tune of gigawatts of these satellites. Launch those into space. Mass drive on the moon. I'm not even going to get to the mass drive on the moon, but that is awesome. And I think that part does make sense. The cooling was crazy to me. Anyways, so they're raising 75 billion, not 0.75, 0.075 of that $1 trillion, which is a lot of money. The biggest IPO of all time. Let me pull up the assistant here. I think I do not want to stop our screen recording. Saudi Aramco IPO raised how much? One word. I also want to know about the nuclear reactors in space. We'll get to Perplexity because they've dropped both computer. Oh my goodness, that doesn't sound right. No, it is right. It really is. The overallotment. Okay. Wow. So they're doubling. So when they say the biggest IPO in history, not only is it market cap, but it's also value of the shares they're selling is 75 billion. Now, OpenAI just closed a funding round in the last 30 days or something. And this is what blows my mind. First of all, because SpaceX is a monopoly. I think 85% of mass that went into space, into orbit, was SpaceX. Falcon 9 and Starship. So, the OpenAI just raised 120 billion in the private market, the private credit. And the largest IPO of all time is 75. So I mean, pretty close to double is what OpenAI just raised. And granted, they have 1 billion users. I mean, it's hard to compare as a space AI company to an AI company in some way, especially with Grok being like 3% of the AI market or something. But it's a totally fine model, used a lot. I feel like people just they're not really clocking. Yeah, I mean, Grok currently runs the whole XAI algorithm is run by Grok. I mean, that itself is just amazing. Switch that. I'm glad I didn't leave my glasses on. So, largest IPO, 7 Starship flights as of 2026. Makes sense, not including Falcon 9. I mean, the Apple IPO, that's not even the right math, right? It was about 2 billion in 1980. I mean, that's crazy then. SpaceX, XAI, Starlink on track for profitability. Can we say that's insane? I mean, he's in like the capital-intensive industry of all capital-intensive industries, and they're creeping up on profitability. 5 million paying subscribers. Blue Origin, which I found out was founded before SpaceX. I think we're talking about 2000 and 2005. Blue Origin, SpaceX. They signed a deal with a major flight, flight carrier. What am I saying? Not Delta, but like that kind of thing. I don't even know. Blue Origin contract with NewScale. I'm not going to tell you about code type is that by that one that's trying to autocomplete, but it is kind of cool for Mac. Blue Sky Airlines. Blue Sky Airlines. An airline is the word I was looking for. I did mean Amazon Cooper. Anyways, they signed something with an airline, which is interesting. So, SpaceX raising 75 billion. OpenAI just raised 125 billion. OpenAI's market share is shrinking. SpaceX, with the XAI merger, has the largest GPU training cluster in the world by a lot. Stargate, the Saudi, Middle East, enormous data center project, is on pause, likely being taken over by Microsoft from OpenAI leading it. I don't think the site was called Stargate. I think they came together with a bunch of companies and called it Stargate. Got hit by a drone from Iran or close. So that happened as well. What a time to be alive. Nobody was hurt, as far as I've heard. besides all the rest of the stuff in Iran, which we'll get to. So SpaceX just doing amazing. This is actually interesting. I had a tough time getting TradingView to actually load. So this is like a sub version. It's still there, like a static version where I pulled the data and back to it that. But absolutely amazing. Last thing on the SpaceX topic, will retail investors get access? And this will lead, this next topic better be Fundrise, because we'll get into that and my money in SpaceX. But eToro, I believe, might be the only brokerage who is allowing retail investors, so the average guy and gal, to get in on SpaceX before they go public. He's looking to buy directly today. So public SpaceX shares will be available to its users on IPO days, not ahead of time. So it'll still get the jump first, I believe, subject to support from its liquidity providers in line with reports that is confidentially filed. Till that happens, its own space and orbit universe portfolios only give indirect exposure to the broader space sector. Interesting. But they're in there for some reason. So keep an eye out for that. Next, Fundrise. So this, I don't know why we have SPX. There was enough going on getting this up. I just let it go with it. Fundrise is a fund that I've been putting money into. I had sold out at one point when I had spent too much money. I wasn't making any money, and then got back into it and like $500, $1,000 in, whatever. They opened up the Fundrise Innovation Fund, holdings like, let's see, Anthropic, SpaceX, I believe OpenAI, Databricks or Datadog, I believe Databricks, Ramp. So they went public. And the last month, I had money in them. I put a little bit extra before they went public. Again, not accredited or anything. Granted, for future me watching, good on you, because I know you'll be accredited. But their own listing, including Anthropic, is a huge one. I mean, the numbers I'm not even going over Anthropic, but the numbers on Anthropic are insane. Databricks, I nailed that. OpenAI, Anduril. Dude, I love their bombs. Ramp, SpaceX, and Epic Games. Quite the setup, can we just say. Publicly traded now, you can go buy it. Do they have a ticker on here? Yep, VCX. So I haven't bought since they went public because their net asset value, what they're trading at, is crazy. Vanta, DBT Labs, Omni High Touch, Muta, Intercom, Handshake, Anyscale, 3 Ventures, Visual Air, Inspectify Jetty, Service Titan, Canva, and Epic Games, 22 total holdings. Anyway, so I had money in about $1,000 by the time they went public. Right before they went public, they let people who are already in put more money in on shares that I find out later, which is the tale of the story, that were not restricted. I thought they were all restricted, which is how I missed out on some money. Goes public. I see somebody post, hey, the Fundrise Innovation Fund is up 1,200%. Don't touch it. It's like a dividend account that I follow, and they're like, don't touch it. I said, so I have shares there, so I downloaded their transfer engine app, go check it. My portfolio was worth like $15,000 when I looked. Part of it I could sell. I got $5,100 out of it. And my total cost basis was under $1,200. So I sold less than half. I had 59 and something shares, sold 29, got $5,200. If I'd done it a day or two earlier, could have had 12 to 15 grand when they peaked closer to $500, and I sold, I think, around 110. Consider this vlog for the future. I don't know how much I'll get into those numbers, but that was nice. The rest of them I haven't transferred out, but I mean, it was dropping 40% a day pretty soon after that. So a good time to get out. If I had gotten nothing out, that would have sucked. And that's actually where I bought the 3D printer. Creality Ender V3 Plus. Ender 3 V3 Plus. Not quite printing as fast as I thought. That's fine. So Fundrise. So after all fees are up 43%, still great. 1 year gross return, doesn't really matter because they haven't been out for that long. This is not even the chart, so don't even move past that. They're around $100 right now. 50% net. I mean, totally not bad. Here's the thing. It was a closed-end fund, went public, so they have the private shares that are not that liquid. Shout out SpaceX, which is what percent? 5. Not bad. The hype was just insane. So you can just calculate these shares. These companies are raising money at these prices. OpenAI, $832 billion as of today, Friday, April 17th. I'll throw that out there. They raise money out of valuations. So you can assume the share value to some degree off that. There's usually a secondary market for private investors. for employees that are selling their shares. So you can just figure out the net asset value and then what a fund that has money in these stocks is worth. And it's somewhere around $19 right now. And it's not trading at $19. I believe it's 90. Trading at what? Let me see next. Perplexity, comment, all you guys. Arivand, CEO, love you. Remember this, come back, look at this in years. 84. Yeah, so I think I sold at 120. It peaked at close to 480. So Fundrise, that was crazy. I'd never been in a closed-end fund that went public. Hopefully many more to come. I had told at least 2 to 3 people about this a long time ago. Also, Fundrise started off for me as an E-REIT, E-R-E-I-T, electronic real estate investment trust. So you get nice dividends. They're legally required to pay you a pretty good amount of dividends. So there's that. If you have more money in there, it's great. I had Perplexity do a deep research one time. Let me finish this last part. We'll jump into the 3D printing section. I had, do the research, run the money. If you buy a house, so you have your down payment's a huge amount, say it's 50 grand, as your cost of maintaining, plus equity. So just how much you get in, how much you get out of buying a house, equity later on, versus same amount of money in an electronic real estate investment trust. What is the outcome? Now, you have to be disciplined or it doesn't work in investing. But if you put the same, like if you rented and invested the difference, bought, and that was it, you make way more money over the long term in a real estate investment trust. It's just kind of my counterpoint to people all saying buy a house. It just costs a lot for people to buy a house. If you're putting 50 grand, there's a lot of other places 50 grand could go. Forget the numbers that I did, but I remember it was somewhere in the 8+ million for the electronic real estate investment trust over like 30 years, like several thousands a month for 30 years. And that's your return versus, a house worth 4 million at the end of it. Now, if you run it out and stuff, investments and things, I'm talking about primary home. So I like it. Anyways, that fund, closed-end fund, that went great. As long as you didn't buy in after it went up 1,200%, that was good advice from them. Pre-IPO tech and venture asset class private. Yeah, it's kind of funny. You can have a public asset class called private. The gross return, the net return. Granted, fees will get into that. Anyways, my shares are locked up till September. And I've already done well. Now, the short-term taxes on that will be quite something. But waiting to sell cost way more. On to the next. Imagine I had transitions. 3D printing. I had to pull some stuff on 3D printing because, like I said, I'm now 3D printing. I got plans to print a server rack for my 4 Mac Minis, 3 of them running Ubuntu, 1 of them Mac OS, and Perplexity personal computer. Over here in my room, wired up, network switch, got my first network switch, right up to the router. Good times. So currently printing in PLA, gray, not storing the filament good at all. But I got it for a good deal. I like it. I'm going to print a bunch of stuff. I've been thinking about taking it to my office, put it in my office in Murray, since I don't want it running at night while I'm sleeping, and this one might even, because it's already 30. So, but a lot of things I want to print, like a full container for filament, because you need to keep it dry. It soaks up condensation in the air. Messes it up. I had a failed print the other day with a phone mount. I'd love to just put like 5 CAD files, 5 slice files on there. Phone mount, computer mount, one for home, one for work. I like all that kind of stuff. Just have it print all at once because it's just layers. But that would be nice. Anyways, not desktop hobbyist anymore, industrial serial production. I'm going to assume you can get really nice filament, but here's the interesting thing, because this podcast is about interesting things I think is interesting. You can buy filament for extremely specialized, expensive machines. That prints like 80% metal powder, 20%. I like getting close to the mic because you can hear it, and I feel like you can hear me better. I'm starting to rush. I'm glad to know there's a timer. It's only 60 minutes until I pay for Descript again. That's pretty much the software stack is Descript. So a filament that's like 80% metal powder fine, 20% wax. Possibly this is the type. There's like 4 types of metal 3D printing, which is very expensive. Probably cheaper than milling, but not as good. So it prints in mostly metal with some wax. You get the part when it's done. Say you print a cube, a hollow cube. Hollow would be interesting because you have to leave a hole in it. You can melt off the wax. You can wash it with solution to get all the wax away. And then you reheat that part so it seals down. So it shrinks a tiny bit and fills in all the gaps and things like that. And then you can print 3D parts. And imagine that on a large scale would be amazing. Milling stuff, you get all the shavings. I'm sure there's a way to recycle them and that kind of thing. But I feel like you can just see why that would make a lot of sense. You do it en masse, get the wax off print. I'm looking right here. I have one of those. Well, actually, a better example. I have an Apple TV remote, assuming it's built out of aluminum. Right, you could probably do a unibody. They got screws in the bottom to slide all the electronics in. Unibody, print that layer by layer, shrink it down. I'm not sure the limit. There's got to be some kind of limitations because I don't think it's the most mass market thing yet to 3D print metal. But you can 3D print this case, probably a lot of cases at once, melt off the wax, harden it, and you get your thing. Versus, I mean, can we imagine how they make these? Aluminum? I don't. Do they mill them out? Mill them out, precision milling in mass. I don't know. 3D printing at scale, I feel like it can lower the cost of things. So it's pretty cool. The plastic printing's great. You customize so many things. So other stuff I'm going to print, they have like, it's like a honeycomb. You print in patches and you bolt it all in under your desk. Your desk has all this honeycomb. And then you can feed your cables through and they have like caps for it and brackets. So the entirety of the underneath of your desk becomes cable management. And so it's not like, you have your tube or wherever you bolt in and they have to go there. It's just everywhere. So it worked really well. So you have that, some monitor stands, some shelves, some casing, some phone mounts, get stuff for coworkers, organizers. Maybe a lot of it be organizing. Not completely sure what else. Will I learn some CAD? Maybe. I have an iPad Pro, which has a LiDAR scanner. I actually tried the same app on my iPhone 17 Pro. I forget this is a 17 first time. Shout out New Brand, future sponsor of the channel. You guys are funny with your marketing. This got a LiDAR scanner, so I got that. It was like scanning stuff in my office. That was super cool. Maybe not the most useful. I mean, you could do something with it. Get like rough sizing, pull it in CAD, clean it up. Haven't done that yet, but there's so many things you could download and print, so that's cool. Why 3D printing is different now. The additive manufacturing at scale, Tesla. I heard a stat on Tesla, which I like I truly love Tesla and SpaceX. Just the biggest fan. What am I even saying? They are the only, if not one of the only car companies that has lowered their prices. And they're actively trying to, like at scale, bring things cheaper, sell for less. So, like the Ford F-150 used to sell for under 10 grand. Should we find out? In Perplexity, you got to sponsor the channel. We'll get to this at the end. You can see the Stratum plus show. I'm in the $1 billion build competition for Perplexity. So we'll get to that, what I'm building, how it's going to work, where we're going to go. But first model of the F-150 came out when for how much? Apparently it's 2004. So there's that. 4,000. Okay, I did not think it was 1975, but as soon as I saw that, it does make sense. I was thinking the 6th generation. So basically all the prices go up. Tesla started with their $100,000. Isn't it 100,000? The Roadster. And we're down to 40. We're at the 14th gen, so 30,000. Okay. 100 grand. Everything's been cheaper since, but for Ford, Chevy, GMCs, whatever, Toyotas too. Tacomas, yeah, those prices got to be going up. They're all going up. Basically, Tesla's actively bringing it down. Because you think about the other EVs, I reserved a slate. Put this in the record. I reserved a slate, $20 or $50 or something. Highly customizable. I might just get pretty much bare bones. I mean, they're so bare bones. I love that their marketing is all just Jeff Bezos gave us his money. But they're so bare bones. They actually come with a Bluetooth speaker, so you can listen to music. It's pretty awesome. So Tesla at scale tries to bring down the prices. My point, gigafactories, CAGR, immediately escaped my mind. For context, cloud computing, there's cost-adjusted gross revenue. So I'm close to that. Next point in 3D printing, so they can take, I believe, stem cells, work them into cells, print organs. Awesome. Turbine blades. Here's the thing about turbine blades. Believe they're titanium, if that's not the housing. They are so pure they're considered a crystal. Single crystal nickel super alloy. Nickel-based superalloys that are cast as a single metal crystal. Vocabulary. I mean, that's crazy. Chromium, aluminum, cobalt, tantalum, so tantalating. Rhenium and others added for strength, creep resistance, and corrosion above 1,000 degrees Celsius. I'm printing in 1,000 degrees Celsius. Just kidding. A fifth of that. Um, they're printing turbine blades. That is insane. Interesting. Icon printing homes for $4,000 in parts cost. This is a great part of 3D printing, especially for Mamdani's New York. They have a huge machine. They set up a scaffolding. It pumps. Basically, it looks like poop. It's concrete. And they just go and they lay out all the walls. Not so sure how wiring and plumbing works, whether it's done. I feel like the foundation would be first. They get it started, and then I hope they leave gaps. Insulation, I'm not sure. It's basically made out of almost stone. But that is just awesome. Like what do you want to optimize for? What's the outcome you want to optimize for? Cheap housing or the crappy housing we build now? I doubt that these mud houses that are printed, I'm sure they're good and sound and extremely livable once you get them all set up. But we used to just make cardboard boxes, and they actually used to look pretty good around here in Utah. You got a lot of like 1940s houses. They look better than the new ones. I truly hate the new ones. I truly do. I cannot stand the new houses people build and the copy and paste and the crap. I want a 1949 car and house. And then I'm going to build a server, a small data center in the basement. I hate them. Just boxy. It's just shingles, drywall, stucco, whatever, some stone, grass. Like what about like wood framing, wood panel? I was watching Mad Guys. Oh, Mad Men. Every house is amazing. They just have so much soul. Anyways, 3D printing them for $4,000. Imagine it's all concrete. Plus you add stuff to it. Machine that builds the machine. Sorry we rambled on that. I just got a 3D printer. It's going to be cool. Pretty much stuff. Open source. I've been loving these. Now, did this pull models for me? It did. And it's talking about some of the stuff that I built with. Okay. So Qwen 3, I believe, is a fairly new model. It's the #1 open source right now from Alibaba. It's got the Apache license, mixture of experts architecture, which, to explain quickly, my understanding is it's got 230 billion parameters. Just think of those as basically thoughts. Like if you run that offline, how much will it still know? But a mixture of experts means it's got a bunch of containers, and it can pull containers instead of, and you can see each container is 15 billion. This is largely made up, but the idea is there. It doesn't have to pull 235 billion at a time. It can just pull specific containers, 30 billion, 50 billion, whatever it is. I know, because the Kimi K2.5 model, which I really like, is also an MOE. I quite like MOEs. And is like a trillion parameters. I mean, it's pulling it's small amounts, like 100 billion in context or whatever for your query. Not that most people are writing great queries. Why this changes everything. The chart of NVIDIA. I love that. I did add a AI brain to Notion, so my AIs will be constantly learning Claude Code, Cursor, and Perplexity. Qwen, DeepSeek R1, which I believe is the #2. It can't just be the same R1, right? Llama 4 Scout, all running on your own hardware. Whose own hardware? We'll never know. But that is definitely the way to go, especially with these AI agents that we'll get to. Apache, genuinely free. DeepSeek shocked in 2026 because it was built for a fraction. I believe that's not true. But the truth is that it's still a fraction. And the closed model tax is disappearing. That is true. Let's talk about code typists for a second. You can see when I'm typing, it's going to pull up a little icon and then it'll start autofilling. It's a local downloaded model, an app that's in beta that I've really enjoyed because it is pretty good. I mean, hello, how are you exactly? When SpaceX goes to the moon, Mars planet, sick shiz will happen. And you can just keep going. So I just hit tab and, now we're moving on. It's in beta. Local AI. So the local stuff, the closed model tags, the frontier quality. So this one's it's only running like a $12 billion parameter model on my laptop constantly as you're going. And I just think that's the future. I mean, the API costs are so crazy, especially with Perplexity Computer and now Perplexity Personal Computer, that I think on-prem there's definitely, I mean, cloud or on-prem. On-prem just so much more to manage. I just think edge compute's the way to go. Like the AI 5 chips that are going in Teslas, edge computing it right because it happens right there. Run locally, yes. API cost zero. If you can, if you're gonna spend, I mean, I'd bet money somebody spends $1 million on engineers in just tokens this year. If you just take the $1 million, put it in your hardware, run the open source models, and get 90%, 85% of the output, what's the point? I mean, it's so train on your own, data integrity. I think it'll be crazy. I think the gold rush is crazy. I love thinking about this as far as the gold rush is like, what are the literal materials going in there? Silicon, lithium, and these batteries, freaking 3D printing turbines for the nat gas that's powering all the data centers. I mean, what a time to be alive. Personal context. So for me and my open source stuff, curious story card. I don't remember what was open source in there in the code is it? So I'll put that in the Notion AI database. NanoClaw is open source. NanoClaw is not built by the Pierre Steinberger. Do I remember that name? Not built by him. It's 700 lines total, which is sweet. Open source, so you can go get it and use it. Sandbox, so it's not going to F up all your stuff like OpenClaw. I've been wanting to use it a lot more. As far as another open source I've been using, let's see if I'm getting ahead of myself. I am getting ahead of myself because of that last question, but Zulip is like an open source Slack, formatted a little bit differently. I can see it on my desktop right now. So I spun that up at work for research and at home because I wanted to add NanoClaws to things that haven't messaged me. 700 lines. So, I mean, if you can read code, you can just go look at it for context. OpenClaw 500,000. The other option being NemoClaw, which that's NVIDIA specific. So I wonder if that's even open source. But pretty interesting. Series 65 Study Hub. I gave my 1,000-page textbook to Perplexity and had it build my own study page. I feel like more people should do that kind of thing. For the Series 65, the investment advisors exam. The Stratum Engine voice agent, we will get to Stratum and the retail AI plus open inference stack. Kind of true. Dev workloads, we'll skip that. The question when open equals closed in quality, why are you paying? Call that a fulcrum, not the word I'm looking for. Cataclysm point where 2 points meet, they converge, you know what I'm trying to say. When we get to that point where open source matches, I mean, it's always so close. It's like the tools around. If the open source models are good to great, because you can use Kimi, you can use Qwen, you can use DeepSeek, you can use Llama. Don't know. Oh, thank goodness Llama's the number 3. 10 million context. Well, I just didn't want to name all Chinese models, but damn. When they get nearly as good and the harness and the app and the usage is one-click deploy and works. I'm saying, like, if we had a desktop app like Perplexity and Claude Cowork and you could back that with open source, that will be like a cataclysm point in the markets. That'll be so interesting. That's what I've been doing. Point being, for open source, I've been trying to build, instead of building constantly ground up, we don't have Mythos yet, we don't have Spine. Opus 4.7 came out like yesterday. I cannot find anyone anywhere that says that that agentic coding, not vibe coding, but agentic orchestration coding builds good or great. Like, I just found like a cataclysmic setup in my thing. Not really. It was a wooden dam, not concrete, so made it concrete. Our open source in the back end fixed that. But so instead of trying to build everything from the ground up, what I've been doing is researching open source projects, pulling those into my project, and then going from there, which is way better. Like, for the whole, let's see, we have it for the back end, for the Supabase back end. The CRM is Atomic. That one's actually free. Supabase has paid, which I am planning on, like $25 a month, that kind of thing, which is a Postgres SQL back end. Supabase is really nice. I really like Supabase. Atomic CRM, Zulip internal messaging, all those kind of things. Coming later on in the roadmap, some of it, except the CRM and the Supabase and things like that. I'm like, how can the actual vertical software stack be open source projects reworked and glued with agentic coding. So you just code the glue, test it, make sure things flow in and out of all those projects stacked up instead of from the ground up. I mean, you totally could get agents to build you a CRM, agents to build you, front ends and things work, but especially if you're not prompting well, and it's just a mess. That's what I've been trying to do with the open source. I cannot put into words how much I've learned and how useful the open source stuff is. Class mobility. This is a random thing I wanted to bring up because middle class churn is rising. Top quintile stickiness is hardening. Born wealthy stays wealthy. Is that bad? Bottom quintile escape declining. Harder to break out than in the 90s. Absolute mobility is at a historic low, and the number one state for mobility is Utah. Poor people can get rich in Utah. Tell me that's not door-to-door's fault. Somebody tell me that right now if this was live in the chat below. The official narrative mobility is unchanged. Middle class moving more, but sideways and down, not up. Should have had to add sources. Top and bottom hardening. College degrees less likely to help you surpass parents. Is this where I go on my college rant? I'm not going on my college rant now. Or medical school, graduate school rant. I'm not doing that right now. But I can fix the whole thing. We'll come back to that once I pull the script from this. Geography matters more than ever. Utah and Minnesota versus coastal metros. Don't you want to get rich in Utah and Minnesota more? Buy a house for legitimately 30 grand. Not in Utah is not what I mean in Minnesota. But still beats it. So on the way down, I blame the national debt, not the billionaires. I'll say that. Here we go to Iran and Arsenal. By the end, I do want to we'll get to Ghost Murmur and we'll get to Palantir and Anduril. That's so embarrassing. So, official number 51 billion. Now, did they request 200 billion? Yes, $200 billion supplemental rejected by Congress. Renegotiation ongoing. They're going to send me into a fit. Gas is up 33%. The inflation transmission mechanism. Nobody's calling a war tax. That is true that it is. So far, we have lost 13. I was going to say boys in blue, is not what I meant. Red, white, and blue. We've lost 13 of our America's finest. Some getting hit by fallen debris. Man, our jets that went down, I don't think anybody died in those. But yeah. Ghost Murmur, it did not get that context. Heritage Foundation, gotta love them. The Arsenal Gap, the U.S. stockpile lasts about 25 days in the China high-intensity conflict. Tomahawks, JASSM, LRASM, classified stockpile, closed Senate briefings only. Lockheed ramping precision strike missiles 4x to 400 a year. For the record, we've dropped almost 12,000 bombs. I think a lot of those are dummy bombs, not precision strikes, but 400 a year is not enough. Rearmament is real, but manufacturing can't sprint. That is a structural risk. We'll finish that out. We'll come back around to Ghost Murmur. Anduril was giving a tour to Japanese diplomats, and they walked by one of their bombs. They have like display of all their dummy equipment. And they're talking about how building 1,000 of the bombs that Anduril is building, which look to be dummy bombs, dummy guided bombs, not precision and not missile propulsion. They could build 1,000 of them for the cost of, they said 10 or 100,000 of the others, which is awesome. That's pretty much the point I wanted to make there. And, I'm sure Palantir is in there as well, too. And circle back to Ghost Murmur. The CIA said, for some reason, I don't think they had to say this at all. I prefer our secrets to stay secret. They use a new thing called Ghost Murmur, which moves noise, like a microphone, if you could probably hear my 3D printer going or the fan in the AC and whatnot, because we're not in the studio yet, but we will be. Ghost Murmur can listen to your heartbeat from miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away. We had the pilot go down, 2 pilots, 3 pilots, 2 planes go down, and we got them all. But you probably got another story at this point. He climbs a mountain, he's waiting in the mountain, totally crazy town. I keep pausing because I can hear through the mic the 3D printer going. I thought it was music. See how it's going. Oh, it's going great. all is fascinating. I do have a robot in my room. They can they can isolate your heartbeat. Just everyone's heart beat differently. Is it like a fingerprint? I don't know, but that seems to be that's how I'm interpreting it. Is that everyone has a unique heartbeat and they can dial in on that. But don't know if that's actually true. Find the guy in the mountain. He's surrounded by insurgents. Someone made a Lego version of this, like a Lego movie with AI, which is one thing AI can do good is stop motion. And he goes down unconscious, hits the ground unconscious, wakes up. He's in the middle of Iran by, by himself, concussed, like knocked him out to eject. I've heard nobody talk about his co-pilot, but he was in an F-15 strike, I believe, which has two. There was two. One of them's good. He goes. He's on his way. Special training. Climbs a mountain. Gets into a crevice. Is lighting his beacon. However that really works. Lighting it, setting it up, but then turning it off, turning back on because he doesn't want other people to find him. $60,000 bounty goes out, which is, I mean, like annually they know you make $1,000 there, so just like an unbelievable amount of money. They're chasing him down. They're closing in. We pull up with SEAL Team 6, shout out SEAL Team 6, 100 special operators, and an army of planes. Start blowing up terrorists all over the place. They move in, get into a firefight, get them out. Nobody lost. They have two C-17s, which actually I think were AC-130s, to load everybody in and leave because the special forces had gone in and made like Jimmy rigged a landing strip. But tires get stuck in the mud or something. They go plan B because they have plan B through Z when they do this stuff. I heard multiple people say this is the most complex operation ever done, which is interesting. Tires are stuck. They bail. They say, F that, plan B, let's get out of here. Get a bunch of smaller ships to land, smaller planes to land, get on those, leave, send the bombers in, B-1 Lancers, I don't know, blow up the AC-130s there, get our boy home, he's good to go. Maybe a helicopter took a few hits, but we didn't lose anything else there. Amazing story. And they say they found him through his heartbeat. I'm sorry, they found him through his heartbeat. They listened in for his heartbeat. So do we know where Kim Jong-un is? Xi Jinping? Do they know where I am? Are they just loading up everybody? It is an AI integrated tool, by the way. So data processing, not as scary as it sounds, I think. Except the CIA can listen to your heartbeat, and they have an absolute, I've not heard somebody say this, absolutely amazing naming scheme. Ghost Murmur is awesome. The tech is scary as crap, but it worked out. Anyways, we spent 51 billion that we don't have, and yes, I mean that, because we're in the whole 39 trillion, 40 trillion right now. I mean, I guess you sneeze out 51 billion, about a billion a day. 46 days, the official first number for the first week was 11, so we're dropping like crazy. The supplements was 200 billion. That was not all for the war. That was also for restocking. U.S. killed in action 13. Prayers for them. The combat losses for us, I believe that's up to 2,000 in Iran. A lot of precision striking. National average gas is up 33%. Although we haven't hit their gas infrastructure that much, but we did get 100 bajillion tankers show up to the Gulf of America and load up. We think that would help in some ways. Anyway, I mean, oil's off 13% today or something because of our blockade and demining efforts. And the total ask for is 1.5 trillion. Here's what I'll say there, because we got running out of time, is we just can't afford that. Compare military spending to other similar amount spending programs. I'm such a better typer when I'm not filming. So we could afford it if we got a little crazy with the budget. Same ballpark. 850 billion for Department of Defense, a total national defense coming to about 900 billion. Social Security. So we're about to match Social Security. We are selling out the future of the kids of America for Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and health. Maybe Social Security a little bit more, I think makes sense. Medicare and Medicaid too. I think all of them are probably unconstitutional. And I think even if we cut them, are we talking about 1.2, 1.5? We get 3 something total. The total federal receipts, thank goodness it's 5 total. So if we get 5, Oh, that's going to do GDP spending. Federal government total spending. Good job with the context. We spent 7. That's such a big number. If we cut Medicare and Medicaid, we could afford, and Slim Social Security, we could afford that defensive budget. Right now, we can't even. He added $500 billion to it. I mean, it's just, I mean, we just can't. So, I mean, I guess so. I'm not applying the same standard. We are selling out the future of our kids to huge defense spending budgets that it is inefficient. None of it's efficient. I want to say that we're efficient in this one regard. Not even close. We were selling it out to the defense budget being so high, which we could justify if we cut out, slim down, fix something. It might not even be constituted. Let me read the Constitution. I have the Federalist Papers around here somewhere. I don't know where in the Constitution it says that the federal government, and if it's not the federal government, it's the state government. Maybe some things don't have to be laws. Let's just say that. But where it says the federal government can pay people who retire just forever, just pay them monthly. Not enough to really live, but enough to like sustain slightly. Subsidize, let's just call Medicare and Medicaid, all subsidies to the healthcare part of the economy. I don't understand how that is just legal at all. It happened, it snowballed, it's out of hand. It is destroying the dollar, it's destroying the future of the country, it is destroying the future lives of the young people in America, on average. So we can't fix it. Trump is he's a big spender. $500 billion on that. I mean, he hasn't got the $200 billion, but did that put us from 1.3 to 1.5, or we've been up to 1.7? Because I mean, we are blowing oh my gosh, by gold. We're just blowing out the dollar with all that. And the last thing, we'll wrap up with this every week or every show, is let's put in our next episodes. Yep, we will get to those. SpaceX IPO mechanics, who gets in? Happy to be in there. 5%. The Cantillon effect, who benefits from money printing? The people who get to spend the money they print, and so on. Stratum Engine. This is my new app, my new startup that I'm working on. Into my brain, it is partially a research project. It is how far can AI agents go in starting a business. I said I was in the Perplexity $1 billion build competition, which I'll be pitching Stratum Engine in. Really, Stratum. You can go see it, stratumhq.app, and I'll pull it up here soon as well. But with AI as the backbone, not the front end, but the backbone, and AI to build it, and like I said, 1.1 staging live, yeah. The open source is in there. You can see the CRM for service contractors, but it's AI-powered answering in CRM for right now home service contractors, built to replace the missed call. We'll be doing free trials for service contractors after they close. So if they're open 9 to 5, we'll go 5 to 9, answer any extra calls that they get. Does it really make sense to have front desk open at midnight? No. Maybe. Not really. But if they do call, you get it, and then most of the cost for it would be a monthly subscription plus the credit costs for the AI answering. But the flow will be AI answering. We'll have it built out for roofers, HVACers, plumbers, construction. Someone calls in, we'll build in their pricing, link up their schedule, and in there they'll have their own CRM they could add people to. AI call answering, the lead generates from the call, goes into the database, and it's just all in there. They can move them up, they can call them, they can add to them. That's where it's at right now. So we'll get people on free trials and get our first customers. By our, I mean my. I want to see how can a solo dev spending a fraction of the cost on developers and typical things that people do when starting a business can do with AI. Like, how far can it go now? I want to see. And I've looked into raising money, so there'll be some messages I sent out for that. But how far can it really go? In the future, we can handle payment processing. We'll spin up Stripe for them, sync up their invoices in there. There'll be automatic text going out, SMS for getting reviews, reminders, calendars, questions. But the AI always has the context to answer all the questions related to the jobs and the work. So automatic messaging to the contractors too, so they can have their crews schedules sync to the calendar. It puts stuff in their calendar, text them, they reply to confirm, go grabbing reviews from the customers, syncing up the inbox, just all together. I have right now structured the back end. It's more of a harness than a mixture of experts technically, but a back end mixture of experts on the back end of the whole thing. Just make it super easy from their dashboard. AI, extremely sandbox and guardrailed, actually working. I wanted to get rid of all the fluff from the AI. Real, useful, actual AI, which is really just machine learning. How far can we go? That's the plan. Stratum Engine live now. Sneak peek. That's where we're at right now. You get early access. Loss per year by the average contractor, missed calls. Depends on the contractor really, but 127K. Voicemails, most callers leave. They just call the next guy. I do love that part. So right now you can see, I actually had to put our roadmap in here since nobody's going to the site right now too. 24/7 at the front desk, never miss a call again. When you do get a call, it goes right to the CRM. You can see it in there. You don't have to do it. If anything fails in there, automatically transfer to a person, so person in the loop. You get instant SMS alerts. I would love if they call in asking something. If I'm a customer and I call in asking something, talk to the AI. They sound pretty good. Don't freak out. To have it automatically SMS a code for authentication, like, okay, that is Janet. We can answer more questions about it if they give the right code. Not sure about that yet. Future iteration. Right now, it's just the handling and the lead gen. We'll do marketing analytics, everything like that too, queries. Automated follow-ups, texting, even calling. You can do outbound calling. I'm not quite sure where that fits in yet. Stripe, which we'll be using Stripe, getting used to it. People able to add in their Stripe, clean up their billing. Maybe if we can handle the money flow too and send it to them, and we have the percentage from there. Review requests. That's where we're at right now. Our version 1.1 right now, we're at PR 119, I do believe. We miss anything? Yep, marketing coming, operations, the dispatch, the calendars, analytics. Did I miss anything? I guess I didn't say analytics. Parent-child or hierarchy for franchise and multi-crew operations. Yep. Accounting. We will have QuickBooks Sync. See, that I missed. So pull everything in. A lot of open source things in the back end being reworked by us for everything. This is our pricing for where we're at right now. So we're starting getting people on the free trial off hours and then the starter for $99 a month. As long as we book a few jobs in the off hours, I think $99 a month makes total and extreme sense for it. And yeah, move some people up into the pro. So you can request early access. It will email me. That is true. If we go sign in, we should be able to just sign in as me. A little bit of the background. And like I said, there really is a CRM. Won't click to it yet, but you can add leads. You can search your leads. Customers, you can add people to it, which we're adding to it. Log in, log out. We are getting cut off on the end there from the screen record, but that is where we're at right now. What do you want to call it? A version? Yeah, it's around version 1.19 right now. It is a stable release. It does work. I just set up the agents for people, then the flow happens. I want the business to actually be running some part of it without like a constant effort. I want contractors to be contracting and building, not calling and texting people back. That is the plan. StratumHQ.app live right now. I appreciate all the critiques in the world. It has been a pleasure doing all this so far, and we will see you on the next time.